What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 546, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a special guest during this episode, and that is Adrian wrestler Ben Colbart. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing fantastic.
Glad to hear that. Hope wrestling has been going well.
Yeah.
I know obviously you have been dealing with a little bit of an injury, so just talk a little bit about how the season has been going, especially kind of dealing with the injury that you have.
It's been pretty tough considering, every other week I'm battling injuries, but it's been going pretty good. I think I'm having a decent season so far with my limited amount of matches.
Have you ever really had a wrestling season where you had to deal with so many injuries, or is this kind of unique to you a little bit?
Um, I'd say I was pretty injured my senior year of high school, but
Okay.
this year it's been an array of injuries that I've had to deal with. So I wouldn't really say that. It's
But
been it's been rough.
I was just going to say it's a little bit of a rough sport though. Like it's a very physical sport. So like it's kind of understandable, but at the same time it seems like it's a little like weird for you to continue to have like as many injuries as you really had this year.
I've probably had around 4 different injuries. There's been 2 that have been reoccurring that I've had to deal with, but, it's been rough. Yeah, I just gotta find a way to get through it. Only so
I was
much longer
just
left.
I was just gonna say, like, what's kept you going? Is it just really the love of the sport?
What really has kept me going is, yeah, the love of the sport, but also I'd say just the mental side of things, like, it's hard not doing what I love, and I don't think injuries would be enough to hold me back from doing what I love.
Yeah, because you've been wrestling for a while, right?
Yeah. About
So it's something that you've always known, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
something that like I don't want to say it's who you are, but like it's really a big part of your life. So it's really hard to step away, miss a little bit of time for that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't missed a wrestling match. I think this year I missed my first wrestling meet in 10 years of wrestling. It was rough.
What does that do to you mentally, missing that first match?
I would s it hurts. It hurts a lot knowing that I could be out there beating these guys, but my body is telling me I can't, basically.
Yeah, it has to be a little bit, like you said, rough, right? Like it has to
Yeah.
be a little frustrating because you're like, this is something I've done for so long that like to miss it and you haven't missed any time. There's really like a mental like impact that can truly have where it's like, am I going to be able to get back on the map?
Exactly. Like, every week is a maybe at this point of the season. Like, I'm so hurt that I'm not even sure. There's days where I can't wrestle, like, in practice because of said injuries.
But it's something that, like you said, you love to do and you're going to push through because it's something that you've done for so long.
Exactly, yeah. I don't see a life without it.
And speaking of that, like just talk a little bit about how you started wrestling and truly like the kind of the impact it's had on you throughout your career.
So, growing up, my entire family wrestled in high school and stuff like that. So I started, when I was little. When I was 8 years old, I started wrestling, and just I watched my siblings grow up with it, so, I understood how to do it growing up, and
Yeah.
it's really impacted my life just because of the mental side of things. It gave me a lot of mental toughness, a lot of physical toughness, and yeah, it's helped me a lot.
What is it like growing up in a wrestling family with like siblings that have done it that are older than you? Like that has to be interesting, but also has to be quite fun. Probably a pretty competitive family, if I had to guess.
Yeah, we're really competitive. Lots of days of me getting my butt beat.
Have you ever beat any of your older siblings in wrestling at this point?
At this point, yes, I have. My older brother, no, but my other siblings, yes. There's
How
one si
good of a feeling is that beating your older siblings?
it's great, especially after growing up with them having their way. It's nice.
Exactly. Did any of them wrestle in college, or are you kind of the first one that has really gotten the experience to wrestle in college?
Uh, my brother, not my oldest brother, but he wrestled at Adrian.
Okay.
He ended up dropping out after his sophomore year, but 21 and 22 he wrestled here.
Obviously, with him wrestling at Adrian, was that really kind of like your decision? Like, did you really truly want to go to Adrian because he went to Adrian, or was it just something like you just both kind of ended up at the same college wrestling for the same college?
Um, I would say that he had a big influence on me coming here because he's the reason I got so close with the coaches here,
Okay.
and I just couldn't see myself wrestling anywhere else after having the relationship I did with these coaches after so long.
Yeah, because your brother wrestled for Adrian. Obviously, you're familiar with the coaches. You're probably familiar with like the meets, kind of like how much fan support Adrian truly gets. Like, there's a lot of really good reasons to go to Adrian. Adrian has a really good history of wrestling.
Exactly. Like, ever since Coach Schindel took over, our wrestling program's been it has been quite nice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you guys have won a couple MIAAs last couple of years. Obviously, I know that's always a goal for you guys every single year. But when did you realize like college wrestling was a possibility for you? Because there's obviously like the goal of doing it, which I'm assuming was a big goal of yours,
Yeah.
but there's a difference between goal and reality.
I think realistically, the first time that I figured I could do it in college was after I got contacted for the first time, which ironically enough, the first college to contact me was Adrian my junior year. After that, I really thought that I'd be able to wrestle at the collegiate level.
Were you surprised that was Adrian contacting you for the first time? And what was that like contact and that feeling like when you finally got that
Um, it
message
was
from Adrian?
it was really unexpected because it was after my junior year of wrestling, and I hadn't performed to my standards. I didn't do well, and it was really surprising. I got DM'd through Instagram, and it was really exciting.
And when you say like you weren't meeting your expectations, talk a little bit about like what your expectations were kind of leading up to that junior year of wrestling in high school.
Well, I had high expectations for myself because I worked really hard, uh, in the off season, and I started off the year really well, but then I experienced my first ever injury with my shoulder, and I didn't miss time, but it really affected me on the mat to the point where I was losing to people I didn't think I'd lose to, and it was just overall a really disappointing year for me.
When did everything kind of start to click though? Like, was it that senior year after you kind of got that message, like where you started to like click prior to like the injury? Like, when did things kind of start to like really click and you're like, okay, like obviously I have a team that's interested. I have a team that wants me to wrestle for them. But like, that's when like all the hard work and like things started to go well for you.
I think everything started to go really well for me was probably right before wrestling my senior year. So, like, right in between football and wrestling, I really was, I was going hard in the gym. I was really, really wrestling a lot, and I just felt like I regained all my confidence that I had lost the year prior, and I was ready. I thought I had the ability to do anything I wanted to.
And confidence is huge, right? Like confidence
Yeah,
is almost everything. If you don't believe in yourself, especially in a sport of wrestling where, yes, it is technically a team sport. Yes, it's in a duel, you want to like put up points, you want to win, but it's also very much of an individual sport. Like if you don't perform well, then you're not going to get the looks, you're not going to get the opportunity. And if you don't have your confidence to do well, it's probably not going to end well.
exactly. You can be, like, the most talented wrestler of all time, but if you don't believe in yourself, then you won't be good. Like, it's all about just believing that you can do something. And because yes, it is a team sport, but it's just you and the other person on the mat. There's nothing else that can stop. Like, everything you do is up to you. Everything that happens to you is your fault.
Yeah, because like you said, it's just the two of you stepping on the mat and stepping on the mat. There's a little bit of like a chess game that kind of goes on in the middle of the mat as well. Obviously, there's the physical part of it, but there's also like the mental part of it as well. How are you able to kind of like lock in and get obviously ready for a match prior? Like, do you have any sort of like superstitions? Like, how do you kind of like mentally lock in so that you know when you step on the mat to face the other guy that you know like you're mentally and physically ready to go?
I think the main thing I always do is I listen to music. I mainly just listen to like rock music just to clear my head. And then I also before every match, I simulate in my head what I'm gonna do, what moves I'm gonna hit, how I'm gonna defend if he does go for other moves.
Yeah,
And then I just try to I breathe, try to like because I get really nervous before matches. Of course, it's normal. I
yeah.
just try to get my body to slow down, and then I go out on the mat and I try to clear my brain of every thought.
How long have you been doing that for? And is it something that like you kind of came up with something that really works for you? Is it something that like someone has kind of taught you or like told you in the past, like, hey, try this? Because everyone has a little bit different of like ways to get locked in before whatever sport they do.
I would probably give credit to my old head coach because he was really big on clearing your head before matches, and I trusted him because he was my high school's last state champion.
Yeah.
So I trusted him, and it worked out in the end.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, got you to be a college wrestler, which in my
Exactly.
opinion, no matter what level you're at, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, like it's the percentages of athletes that get to even do their sport in college is so minute that, like, it, in my opinion, being a college wrestler at any level is very respectable and not easy to do
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I'm sure you've kind of realized that so far during this year
Yeah.
of just how different college wrestling is compared to high school.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
Did you expect that? Like, did you kind of expect it to be as difficult? Because obviously you had a little bit of familiarity with Adrian, your older brother wrestled there. Did he tell you anything, or was it more of like when you stepped into college wrestling, going to Adrian, you just kind of kept an open, like, mindset towards it, and you're like, it's going to be hard, like, obviously, but like, it might not be that different.
He said it was levels above high school, but I try to keep an open mind to it because like you never know.
Yeah.
I might be a lot better than I think I am, but that ultimately wasn't true.
How quickly did that kind of hit you? Like that's truly levels above anything that you faced prior to college.
I I would probably say it would be wrestling. It would be first week of wrestling because wrestling my teammates who are seniors and juniors who have been here for a few years. That's how I realized realistically.
Was there any like specific like welcome to college wrestling moment, like maybe someone like picked you up and slammed you, or just how difficult like the practice actually was, and after the first practice, you're like, this is probably the hardest practice I've ever done.
I would say my welcome to college moment was beginning of the year. We have like this inner squad where we wrestle our own teammates, but it's like in a live setting.
Yeah.
And I wrestled my teammate who was also a freshman, and he teched me, and that really, really set the tone for me because that was my first time getting teched in probably over a year at that point.
Yeah.
So that really humbled me as a person.
Yeah, I was just going to say for obviously majority of college athletes, you're not going to really get that experience very much. Like not every single college wrestler is going to be a state champion, right? Like it's just so
Yeah.
difficult to get to that point. But like there's certain levels, like you said, to it. And obviously everyone that goes there is good enough. So like there's probably very rare circumstances that you got like pinned or like got teched or kind of like where a match doesn't go well. So kind of like the moment where that truly happens pretty early on in your college career, that's probably a little bit of a mental kind of reset. And you're like, okay, like I was here, but now I'm kind of back down here.
Yeah, the difference my senior year, I felt like I was on top of the world because I thought I was pretty good. Then freshman year of college, I feel like I'm right back to square one in terms of everyone else being better than me. So, I've kind of opened up my mind to the fact that I'm no longer the best person in the room.
Is that kind of motivating though, or is that a little bit of a weird feeling because like you were like you said, you were at the top and now you're back at the bottom?
I would say it really has motivated me a lot to want to get better. I love wrestling people who are better than me. That was something I didn't really get in high school because I was the best person in the room, and no one really got me better outside of my
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the iron sharpens iron thing. Like the only way you're
Exactly.
going to necessarily get better is to be pushed to get better. And it truly seemed like it was pretty early on where you're like, okay, like I'm going to have to get better. I might get my butt kicked at times, but like that's okay. It's about growing. It's about getting better throughout that process.
Exactly. If you're not losing, you're not learning.
Even though I don't think any athlete likes to lose, I'm sure you probably weren't super happy
No.
to get teched, but at the end of the day, it's a good lesson. Like it's one of those things where probably very few freshmen, very few athletes go in their freshman year expecting and kind of dominating right away. There's a little bit of like a learning curve, a little bit of a lesson that is kind of taught through trial by error.
I mean, yeah, it's really upsetting losing, but at this point in my freshman year, I've learned to accept the losses and don't dwell over them. Just watch the match, look at what you did wrong, and move on to the next match.
And you say watch the match. Did you watch matches very much of yourself back in high school? Because I know obviously with like video now, there's a lot more like analytics, there's a lot more like film study that goes on in sports than there ever has been.
Yeah. I mean, at least my senior year, I recorded every single match,
Okay.
even the ones I won. Although I didn't watch those very often, but all the matches I lost, I would sit there and watch them the day of the meet, like right after, and I would watch them, figure out what I did wrong, and then talk to my coaches about it afterward.
Yeah, like you were saying, I feel like almost the matches you lost are the ones that are the most valuable because you can
Yeah.
learn things from there. Like, obviously, I'm sure there's probably several matches in high school and maybe like a match here or there, like every once in a while for you at Adrian, where you like dominate and you're like, well, that was fun. I enjoyed it, but like, where can I get better from it? Even though that's probably something that you would much rather have happen more often than not,
Yeah.
there's a little bit more of lessons and knowledge to come with difficult losses.
Yeah. I mean, watching back the videos where I dominate people, those are nice the first few times. But after so long, I can't really do much with the video because I didn't really learn much. I kind of just whooped someone that I was better than.
Yeah,
But I can go back and watch matches I lose over and over and over again just to try and iron out my mistakes.
exactly. And I'm sure you probably go back to the first wrestling match against your own teammate and truly like learn from it. And then you obviously eventually got the opportunity to wrestle someone else. Talk about what that experience was like, your first ever college wrestling match, and what it was like to step on the mat in the Adrian singlet for the first time.
Uh, it's kind of hard to remember. I think my first ever match, my first match I won,
How did
and
that feel?
it was really surreal. It really made me feel like I can do this college wrestling thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was really nice, and I feel like I wrestled really good in that match. I and it was definitely weird being in a different singlet for the first time in 9 years of wrestling, but, you know, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Was it kind of like a full circle moment a little bit for yourself? Not only like not necessarily for yourself, but like you're representing the same school that your brother did.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean,
Yeah.
to wear the same singlet that my brother wore was I feel like I'm just right behind him in his footsteps.
Yeah. Which has to be kind of a little bit of a cool feeling though.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I look up to him a lot. It feels nice to be able to do what he did?
Exactly. How nice was it though, speaking of that, of getting kind of that first win out of the way? Like you didn't have to wait like a few weeks. Like you didn't have to go through five, six, seven different matches and get that first win. You kind of get it under your belt right away.
It's, a lot of pressure got relieved from that because that's always people's first goal in college is to win their first match, and I got that in my first time being on the mat. It was really nice because it helped out my mental state a lot.
Yeah, and that was obviously really early on. And one thing that we talked quite a bit about, especially at the beginning, is like a mental, like your mental state. And
Mhm.
obviously, that was kind of the beginning of the conversation, kind of beginning of obviously your college wrestling career. But it's also huge now, right? Like months and
Mhm.
months down the road because of what you've been through. What you've been through is not necessarily unusual, but like you don't hear a ton of people getting obviously as many injuries as you have had. Does it make wrestling itself that much more worth it to you, or truly kind of make you feel like the impact of like what wrestling has had on you, especially when you had kind of times where you've had to step away a little bit?
It really does make me realize that wrestling is 95% mental. Because even through all the physical injuries, I'm still doing it. But I know people who were perfectly healthy and couldn't do the sport anymore just because they thought it was too hard.
Yeah.
So I think the mental side really makes me respect it, like what you're saying, because through my entire career of wrestling, I've never been through a year like this year where the mental side of things really is big.
Is that something you've been kind of working on? Is more of like the mental side of things? Because obviously you're still working on the physical side of wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, there's always space to prove mentally wise when it comes to wrestling. Um, because every single day something new is gonna get thrown at you, something else is gonna mess with your brain, and wrestling is always gonna destroy your mental side of stuff. Like you're always trying to be mentally tough.
Yeah. And you also have to factor in weight cutting as well. I don't necessarily know if you're specifically yourself have to weight cut in college. I know some wrestlers do, some wrestlers don't, but like that's a whole another kind of part of wrestling that can truly mentally and physically mess with you.
I mean, yeah, cutting weight is hard. I haven't had to cut too much weight. I will have to cut a lot of weight here shortly, but cutting weight sucks, and that's why I've seen a lot of people quit because people cut 10, 15 pounds a week just to be a backup, and it's
Yeah.
really hard on them, and I haven't had to deal with it yet, but I can only imagine how they feel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one, doing it is difficult itself, and two, like doing it like the correct way is extremely difficult. Which I know, obviously, like college wrestlers have kind of like understand a little bit more of how to do it like the correct way than maybe like other wrestlers in high school in the past. But speaking of kind of college wrestling and high school, how have you kind of like mixed a little bit of like your styles when it comes to high school wrestling and wrestling in college, and how much has it truly kind of like changed since you got into Adrian?
I think my style has changed a lot because in high school, I was bigger and stronger than a lot of people, so I kind of just throw them around how I wanted to. And in college, it's kinda hard to do that, like, you have
Yeah.
to actually feel them out and try to work your offense, when in high school, you could just dive into a leg and do whatever you wanted to. So, really, it's been me just trying to perfect my form, and my whole move set now in college is a lot different, it's a lot more technical
Okay.
than in high school. In high school, I was just kinda doing whatever I wanted to.
Yeah. So it's basically a lot more technique based. Like you have to make sure you have the right technique, but then you also have to factor in strength and all that kind of stuff. But if you're not stronger than the other person, it's going to be very much like you need to make sure you have the right technique going into every single match.
Yeah, exactly. Because at my weight class, I've been dealing with injuries, so lifting hasn't been a lot of my career so far,
Yeah.
and so everyone at my weight class is stronger than me, so I've had to learn how to get around that with technique, and so I just have to be technique-wise better than most people I wrestle, otherwise I'll lose.
But long term, that actually might be a good thing if you obviously get healthy, stay healthy as well. Because if you're very technique sound, once you add that strength and you keep that technique, that's going to help you in the long term when maybe like if someone's like very strong but they don't have good technique, it's a lot more difficult to fix those technical things than to put on weight or and put on muscle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, getting the technique part of wrestling out of the way first is a lot more helpful in the long run because in a year or two when I'm 100% healthy
Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about fixing my technique as much as just getting more physique on.
Yeah.
Because becoming a better wrestler technique wise is one of the hardest things in sports.
Yeah, because there's small, minute little things. Like you have to have patience. You have to wait for your shot to open. And if you don't take a good shot or it's a little bit late, like it's probably going to end up with you being on bottom or on your back. And obviously, in wrestling, that's not
Yeah.
something you necessarily want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard trying
but
to get those things out because one small little mistake get can give someone else points, can get you pinned.
yeah, no, absolutely. I know you specifically mentioned how like your kind of like moves are a little bit like wrestling moves are a little bit different now
Mhm.
compared to high school. What were you running in high school and what are you kind of running now?
I'd say in high school I was big on like high crotches and just like upper body stuff, like throws and stuff
Okay.
like that. And it's kinda hard to do that in college. So in college, I've learned to use my length to my advantage. So I've started doing ankle picks. I've started using my long arms to get in low on them. Then my favorite move has actually been the blast double because it's a really good move. It doesn't allow people to it's kinda hard to counter, basically.
Yeah.
You get it on those legs.
How fun is it to do ankle picks though? Because I can just imagine like kind of the feeling for like you if you get an ankle pick, you're like that's great, and then the other guy's like super frustrated. He's like that's so stupid that I got my ankle picked.
Yeah. For me, it's really satisfying, especially when you hit a really clean one. Because you dive like, you grab their ankle and throw their face by, and just seeing them go from flat on their feet, where they're comfortable, straight to their back, you can see the fear in their eyes as you do that. It's a great feeling.
It's kind of like the duck under a little bit, kind of like is that kind of like that feeling a little bit like the duck under at all or not
Um,
really?
I mean, in different aspects, because
Okay.
the duck under is again, a really satisfying move to hit,
Yeah.
but it's a lot harder to get people to their back on that move.
Yeah.
But it is really satisfying to hit successfully because it's kinda hard to hit successfully.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like both of those moves look really nice on video, and you
Mhm.
probably enjoy watching those on video a little
Yeah, I
bit.
do.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm glad that things are going well for you. I
Mhm.
obviously sucks that you're going through injuries. I really do hope that you get a little bit healthier along the way.
Me too.
For for the rest of this year, though, like what do you want to continue to work on? What do you want to continue to get better? Is it more of just like, let's try to get back healthy. Let's have a good year. Let's have a good end to the year. And then let's look forward to next year.
I say right now, I'd say I'm just trying to iron out top and bottom. I think I'm pretty good in neutral, but top and bottom is my biggest struggles right now, and I'm just trying to iron that out. Obviously, I'm trying to stay healthy, which is a pain right now,
Yeah.
but I only got so much longer left in the year, and I'm just trying to make it through as best as I can,
Yeah.
and
No, absolutely.
yeah, and just iron out the small mistakes I keep making.
What would you say is better though? Are you better at top or you at better at bottom? Like I know you said like neutral you're pretty good at.
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely better on top. Bottom, I'm not great. It's that's my biggest flaw in my wrestling.
If it was your choice, would you always choose neutral during a
Oh,
match?
100%. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You want to continue to do what you're good at, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I do have kind of two last kind of questions I want to ask. One's going to be kind of like obviously like bigger picture, kind of like
Yeah.
what like wrestling obviously means to you because I know you still have 3 years left to go.
Hmm.
But obviously we've talked about like injuries, we've talked about like just kind of how difficult the sport of wrestling is. I do have a question though. How did you end up getting your chipped tooth real quick?
It's not really as interesting as you'd think. It was just kind of growing up having bad hygiene, and
Ah.
this grew behind another tooth, and it just
Ah.
curled up into my gum.
I was just gonna say I was
Yeah,
expecting some sort of like really crazy like wrestling story or someone like
yeah, I
cross-faced cradled you or something like that just and it just comes out or something like that. So
yeah,
I didn't know if it was a wrestling story or not. I know it's a very physical sport, so it wouldn't have surprised me if it
yeah,
was. That's the reason why I asked, but
yeah.
you never know.
It's not as interesting as I'd wish it'd be.
I, I was just gonna say if I was you, I would say like oh like a wrestling story or something like that. Make up a cool story or
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, no, awesome. So one obviously one last question I kind of want to end on this. Um, after your career is done at Adrian, I know you still have a little while left to
Mhm.
go. What do you hope to accomplish? What do you hope to be remembered for? And
What I want to accomplish realistically is probably being the hardest worker in the room. Because, I feel like I've always been that person, like, my nickname in high school was Rocky because
love it.
I never quit, and, I wanna be that person that is the hardest worker in the room, and obviously, I wanna be an All-American, that's one of my goals, and, yeah, I wanna be the hardest worker in the room. That's what I wanna be remembered as.
I think your nickname makes perfect sense, honestly, because I think it just shows you, obviously, like talking with you on this, just how much you've gone through and just like never giving up. Like you're never going to continue to stop. Like
Yeah,
sucks, but at the same time, like it's an impact that's truly had a ton on your life. Like wrestling
mhm.
is something that's really defined you.
Yeah, I would say that wrestling has been my life. Like, people don't like to say that their sports are their life, but with how much I put into, like, time-wise, put into this sport, I would say it's become my life, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I love it.
And how has it like shaped your life? Like what are like some lessons that it's kind of taught you and do you really truly see yourself continuing in the sport beyond Adrian? I know obviously the chance that like you do like the Olympics and stuff like that. There's really quote unquote no professional wrestling afterwards, but
Yeah.
there's obviously like coaching and stuff like that too.
I fully plan on to keep wrestling in my life, after college because I wanna be a coach. I've already had some experience, over Christmas break. I coached, my high school team with my brother. And
Mm.
I love it. I love teaching kids how to be tough, and like, in terms of lessons wise, it taught me to really be a better person and to think, and, it made my mind tougher, it made me tougher, it helps me a lot. It really has changed me as a person from when I started. It makes me take everything for granted.
Yeah, because of like everything that's taught you, obviously, like it will help with the rest of your life. Like
Yeah,
going through difficult times, like wrestling, you've gone through that. Like it might not be the same exact situation, but like you've experienced difficult times, you've experienced difficult practice, difficult matches, all that kind of stuff. That's going to obviously prepare you for the rest of your life. And then obviously it's probably formulated friendships with guys that you're going to be friends with for the rest of your life. Obviously, I'm sure you have some really close friends, Adrian, that will probably be in the rest of your life. And then obviously it's a family thing. Like it's
yeah,
something that truly has connected your family. And maybe in the future, you'll be coaching your old high school, which I'm sure would be something that you would
yeah.
love to do.
Yeah, there's people I've been wrestling with, like, from my high school. There's people I was wrestling with all throughout high school that I think I'm gonna be friends with for the rest of my life, and there's people that I just met 4, 5, 6 months ago here at Adrian that I feel like I will be friends with them for the rest of my life because they have helped me along the way, and they have suffered what I have suffered through.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you obviously still have a couple years down the road for
Yeah.
Adrian, so still have a while left to go. Hopefully, you start to get healthier. Hopefully, things
Hmm.
start to go a little bit better on that side of things. But I really appreciate you joining. Hope this
Yeah,
was worth your time. Would love to have you back on in the future down the
of
road.
course.
No pressure whatsoever to join, but hopefully this was worth your time. And truly, best of luck the rest of the season. Get healthy and dominate the next couple of years at Adrian.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And that is a wrap to episode number 546. Thank you again to Ben for joining and tune in to the next episode.